means defund the police. Zoran Mamdani, like he was real into that woke shit back then. I just love. It really does feel like you just picked out woke words and put them all together. But that's. I think this guy's just kind of like an intellectual lightweight and kind of goofy. I don't think he actually gets that much done in New York City, is my guess.
I can't imagine. I mean,
but maybe. I don't think any of it's good. If he gets any of his plans through, it ain't going to be good.
Well, you know what I like? I think, and this is just my perception, right? I could be totally wrong. What I liked about him was I just felt like he was the underdog.
Well, that is true. No, he was. He was,
That's
and the entire establishment was against him.
That's the thing that always gets me. It's like, are you the underdog?
Well, you know? I get that impulse, and I share that too. I feel the same way. I was kind of rooting for him to some degree too because of that same dynamic. I guess it's just like the problem is that like essentially the Republicans endorse a whole bunch of socialism. You know, like we have giant entitlement programs. Social Security and Medicare, they're actually, both of those programs are socialist programs, but they're socialist programs that redistribute money from a poorer group to a wealthier group, which is pretty indefensible when you think about it. Like young people are poorer than the old people that they have to work to pay their Social Security and Medicare payments for.
That's pretty wild. But they're assuming that it's them.
Yeah, supposedly, but what's actually happening is you're transferring wealth from a poor to a richer group with the promise of like, you'll get some back one day. Medicaid is actually a welfare program that redistributes from working people to poorer people, but they're giant socialist programs. The military itself is a giant socialist program. It's a big government program. So the Republicans endorse a ton of socialism, you know, and then the Democrats, whenever the Republicans, you know, lead to disaster, they go, well, what we need is even more. What we need is even more government, even more socialism. And there's just what America really needs is Ron Paul, who's, just turned 90. And I think he's got one more presidential run in him, but I'm not sure. He might be. He might be
I don't
done.
know. His emails are getting...
But look, the point is the real...
I love Ron Paul, but his emails are getting a little bit... They need the spell check, and you can tell.
All right, listen, that's fair. The guy's not perfect, but he's the closest to it.
Look, he could be perfect. I'm just saying he's got to spell check his shit.
Okay, fair enough.
But also, we just went through the Biden thing. I don't think you can push an old person like that.
I'm joking about him he's not running for president again. But Ron Paul was right about everything. He was right about just about everything. And the real answer to all of this stuff is actually Americanism. Like true Americanism and the best part of Americanism, which was always, and that's why that Israeli guy talking about limiting the First Amendment is so infuriating. The best, what America needs is the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, our Constitution, what we were always supposed to be, what we abandoned long ago. That's actually what we need. And, you know, I saw a good friend of mine who I love and really, really respect, who I think is brilliant, Darryl Cooper. And he was saying on Twitter today that, like, he goes, dude, it's not even it's pointless to make the argument that this war in Venezuela was unconstitutional. You know, he goes, it's a pointless argument to make because we've shredded the Constitution years ago and we've already accepted that presidents have these war powers. And so, like, I mean, I don't want to mischaracterize what he was saying, but I think it was essentially something like that. Like the argument just rings hollow. But I just kind of respectfully disagree, where I'm like, no, man, like we either have the Constitution or we don't. And it's a whole lot better to have it. And could anyone read the Constitution and actually, this is where he said, stop whining about the action in Venezuela being
unjustified
or unconstitutional.
Or whatever. You look weak and might as well be complaining that it doesn't follow Hammurabi's code. Trump knows that American leaders are judged by whether they win or lose, nothing else.
Now, look, he's right about that to an extent, right? Like, if Venezuela turns around tomorrow and is a bastion of freedom or something like that, then that's a huge win for Donald Trump, and he's going to be able to brag, and people will go, oh, Dave, you care about morality and the Constitution, but this worked. So, like, he's right about that. But the point is that it's like, dude, if you just, like, the Constitution claims to be the law of the land. The Constitution is what created this government. So if you're going to accept that they don't have to live under that own Constitution, which they put a hand on the Bible and a hand in the air and swear, our politicians, Donald Trump, the political class who swears to God in front of all of us that they will uphold and defend this document. Like, I'm not arguing any of us are bound by the Constitution, but they are. They swore an oath to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they went into politics. That's their
Yes, their obligation in front of their nation and in front of God was to defend and protect the Constitution. And you can't tell me, dude, that it's constitutional for a country that clearly poses no threat to us, even if the drug accusations were true. It's not like an immediate, it's not there's nuclear missiles lined up on Cuba and the president has to take action. It's you had all the time in the world to come to Congress to have a debate about this and for our elected representative government to like vote how they feel about the war, make their arguments to their consent. But if you're telling me that the legal justification that they're going with is that he's not the president. That's what Marco Rubio said. No, we didn't get the president of Venezuela. We just got some drug dealer. He's just a gangster. He's not the president. That was Marco Rubio tweeted today. That's dude, come on. This is so illegal. This is so unconstitutional. And if you're just going to sit back and allow a government to be that, okay, well, that government who can violate the Constitution against Venezuela is powerful enough to violate every American citizen's rights as well.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like you have to. If you stand up for it, you have to stand up for it,
That's right.
And also, one thing that was interesting was whenever Ken Burns was here, we talked about the Declaration of this is Secretary Marco Rubio right here. It says, Maduro is not the president of Venezuela and his regime is not the legitimate government. Maduro is the head of the Cartel de los Soles, a narco-terror organization which has taken possession of a country, and he is under indictment for pushing drugs into the United States. Who's he? He's being indicted by us. But what proof do we have that he is the head of the Cartel de los Soles?
Zero has been offered. Zero's been offered. It's not even clear the thing exists.
Yeah, I was looking forward to it.
Seems to be like some low-level mid-network thing. It's all bullshit. And look, like what they could say, which might be true. I'm actually not sure, but this might be true. But they'll be like, he lost the election or the election was illegitimate or something like that. It's like, yeah, like I referred to them on Twitter as a sovereign nation and a bunch of people were saying, oh, they're not a sovereign nation. But it's like, listen, man, first of all, we do business with dozens of countries that just don't have elections, like that just aren't democracies at all. And also, you're saying the last election was bullshit. Isn't that what Trump said about us? Like, is that so?
Right.
So by your logic, could anyone just come in and depose the Biden? Like even right-winger Trump supporter who believes the 2020 election was stolen. Do you really believe that China or Russia could have come into America 2 years ago and just kidnapped Joe Biden? Like you would have no problem with that? I think you'd right away be like, no, motherfucker. We will decide whether our illegitimate government stands or falls or what. And so all of these things, this is all just complete nonsense.
I wonder how the